सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम
पेश करिए। अल्लाहुम्मा
वसल्ली अला सय्यिदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मद व बारिक व सल्लम
सल्ली अला सय्यिदिना
व मौलाना मुहम्मद व बारिक सय्यिदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मद व बारिक व सल्लम।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन वल आक़िबतु लिल मुत्तक़ीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला रसूलिही मुहम्मदिन व आलिही व सहबिही अजमईन। अम्मा बादु अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। वमा अर्सलनाका इल्ला रहमतल लिल आलमीन।
सुभान
सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम व सदक़ रसूलुहुन नबियुल करीम। इन्नल्लाह व मलाइकतुहु युसल्लूना अलन नबी या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू सल्लू अलैहि वसल्लिमू तस्लीमा।
अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मद व बारिक व सल्लिम अलैहि।
I'd like to formally welcome you to this Masala Miladun Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. On behalf of my honorable father and my honorable mother, Allah bless them for organizing this beautiful mahfil. And the Isa alayhi swab of this mahfil will be presented to my grandmother Marhuma Rahmatullah alayha. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we've got some beautiful speeches lined up for you today. We've got some people who come from out of town, alhamdulillah, and they put a lot of effort into preparing their speeches today. Inshallah, we'll begin formally. So, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has power over this entire universe, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created every single molecule in this universe. May the choicest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon Habibullah, Nabiullah, Sarkar Madina, Ruh Hasina, Nabi Kareem, Raufur Rahim, Rahmatan lil Alameen, Sayyidul Mursaleen, Hataman Nabiyeen, Imamul Anbiya, Ahmad Mujtaba, Muhammad Arabi, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that whenever somebody reads, whenever somebody has the name of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and when they recite Darood upon him, they say this Darood, it travels to the skies and it travels to the heavens, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a particular angel, and this angel, his very job is that he spreads his wings, and when these Darood are being received by the ummati of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they float to the heavens and they come and touch this wing of this appointed angel. when the durood touches the wing of this angel, another angel is born.
Subhanallah.
And this angel descends. And so, whoever may have read durood when they heard the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the angel descends and stands with that person for the rest of his life. And you know what that angel does? He prays for their forgiveness. Oh Allah, forgive him. Oh Allah, forgive him. Oh Allah, forgive him. And when that person says Ameen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the prayers of the angel.
Subhanallah.
And this angel remains for the entire life of this person. And there's another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that whenever somebody hears the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, two angels appear. Two angels appear and they stand with this person who heard the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they wait for this person to respond with the rule. They wait for his response. And when this person doesn't respond, or if he doesn't respond or she doesn't respond, the angels return to Allah Almighty. And they say, Ya Allah, so and so, he heard the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of your beloved. And Ya Allah, he didn't respond with the Rudu Salam on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At this point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, well, La'natullah alayk, may my lana be upon this person. May my curse be upon the person who didn't respond to the durood of my beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah, there's one thing I've heard, when people are cursed by their mothers and cursed by their fathers, they're doomed in this dunya. They're doomed. But then to receive a direct curse from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, imagine the ferocity of such a curse. Allahu Akbar, may Allah protect us from this.
Ameen.
And when somebody hears the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they respond with the root, there's two angels reappear. These angels, their specific duty, they're designed to collect the durood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's millions of angels, but these particular angels, they appear next to a person upon the recitation of the durood. And when they hear the durood or salam in response from that person, then they return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, so and so, son of so and so, he heard the name of your beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he recited the durood upon you. And now we come and present this durood to you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds, Rahmatullah alayk, and may my rahmat be upon such a person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends his rahmah on those who read the durood. There's one thing when somebody says, I'll pray for you, may Allah's rahmah be on you. But when Allah sends his direct rahmah, alhamdulillah, this person is of a high caliber. Inshallah, Aziz, may Allah give us all the karam, especially on this this particular occasion of Miladun Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to be true reciters of the durood upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah, Daniel is extremely passionate and about the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Seldom does he miss an opportunity when he sits with people of knowledge. He will always ask them for some kind of wisdom in terms of Islam. He's always learning a hadith, and he's a firm lover of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. MashaAllah, ulama have described him as the right-hand man for his mother. So alhamdulillah, you serve your mother in this dunya, Allah will bless you always. Inshallah, Dunya is about to, alhamdulillah, enter Dars in Nizami studies. His studies to become Alimuddin in this coming September, October time, at the Suyuti Institute under the guise of Hazrat Alama Maulana Zainul Tab Sadiqi, Zia Majnu. Alhamdulillah, so please do dua for him. May Allah elevate him and bless him in his studies of the Quran and his studies of Islam and his studies even in the dunya, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And you know, Miladun Nabi really is an auspicious occasion for the Muslims. All over the world, we celebrate Milad in countries. You won't see a place where lights are not covered on buildings and cars. And I was amazed. One of my friends went to Pakistan and he WhatsApped me some pictures on his phone. And alhamdulillah, full cars were full with lights. And the jashan people take and the celebrations people go to for Miladun Nabi really is beautifully extravagant for the Mawlid and the celebration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillah, it's celebrated all over the world. I know we have our few issues in England. There's a few areas, niche areas, shall I say, a few areas where people don't believe in the celebration of Milad al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They don't come forward to talk to us, they do hide. But I'm sure if they do come forward, we'll be very helpful and very willing to teach them, inshallah. No problems. You know, a waqia, I was actually reading from my notes last night, and I came across a beautiful hadith presented by Hazrat Muhaddis ibn Jawzi alayhi rahmah. He was a student of Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala, Ghaus Pak Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmatullah alayhi. And he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, من أنفاق درهما في مولدي نور الله قبره ووسع الله رزقه كل عام. He said, Rasulullah says, whoever spends 1 dirham, which is equivalent now to a pound, whoever spends 1 dirham in the celebration of Miladun Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah will illuminate his grave, enlighten his grave, and he will provide him rizq and good rizq for the entire year.
Subhanallah.
Allah will put barakah in his rizq for the entire year. Whoever spends 1 dirham on my Mawlid sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Such is the shan of celebrating the Milad of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And on days like this, we get together, we don't dance, we don't intermix with women, we sit and remember the seerah of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even of the couple, alhamdulillah, looks like he's prepared. Alhamdulillah, seems that way, mashallah. Hence why I trusted you to come up here and say a few words. There's one thing that I was thinking about a lot recently, and something which was bugging me, to be totally honest with you. I think there's a great misconception in the Ummah of Rasulullah. What they fail to realize is the Quran is proportioned 70-30. What do I mean when I say 70-30? Okay, I want to ask you a question. There's 2 concepts in Islam. There's Hukuk Allah and Hukuk Ibad. Hukuk Allah is your rights to Allah, your rights to your Lord. So you read Salah 5 times a day. Is that for me, or do you read it for Allah? You read that for Allah. You keep fast. Keep them for me, or do you keep them for Allah? You keep them for Allah. So no one will ever know you've got a fast. Even if you kept one today, I wouldn't know you've got a fast. That's for between you and Allah. So there's certain things between you and Allah, like Hajj, like Salah, like fasting, stuff like this. That's called Hukuk Allah, your rights to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or his rights over you, should I say. Then there's something else called Hukukul Ibad. This is a major part of the Quran. Hukukul Ibad is your rights to the people, your rights to your mom, your rights to your father, your rights to your brothers and sisters, to your neighbors, your rights to the shopkeeper down the road, your rights to your teachers, your colleagues, the people you work with, your rights to them. The rights you must give to them. And I feel that, especially, please forgive me for saying this, but I feel I've seen this, especially in the older Pakistani men, the ones, the typical ones that, got the big beards, and, the namazis and stuff. But alhamdulillah, I'm not saying this is wrong. They're very good people, some of them. But some of them let the rest of them down. And what do I mean by this? They Hukuk Allah is bang on. They read namaz, they keep salah, they do everything, they're brilliant. Everything's right. But they go home, they beat their wives. And they backbite, and they lie, and they swear at the kafir. They say, he's a kafir, why should I give him any respect? They're not Muslim. No. You've missed the wood from the trees. Let me tell you what the Quran is. The Quran is distributed in many different beautiful ways, but in this context that I'm talking about is a 70-30 split. Only 30% of the Quran emphasizes on your rights to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But 70% of the Quran talks about your rights to the people. Your rights to the people. Your rights to your mother, to your father, to your sister, to your brother. Some people I know, they're religious, and anyone else who's not religious, we don't like them, they're not religious, who cares about them? We're good people, they're not good people. No, this wasn't the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was most kind even to the non-Muslim. He was most loving to the non-Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, and he says, if the kafir, the non-Muslim knew how much Allah loved him, even his heart would burst. If he realized how much his Lord loved him, because at the end of the day, who created him? Allah loves all his creation. Allah loves all his creation. His heart would burst. So if Allah loves that creation so much, who are we to hate these people? Who are we to hate anybody? If anything, I've heard of a clever thing that they say hate the disease, don't hate the patient. Just as your way of life is different to them, they may come to Islam later. Don't hate animals, don't be cruel to people, don't beat your wives, don't lie, don't backbite. All together in conjunction, this is Islam. If Allah wanted to test your loyalty to Him, He would have put you on a running machine probably, and He would have said, you run for 3 hours and I'll let you go to Jannah. You did that for me. So I know you're loyal to me. No, but what Allah is really testing, what He really wants to see from us in this dunya, is how we interact with His people. I don't know about you, but you didn't choose the family you was born into. You didn't choose your parents, what they were going to be like, what kind of habits they're going to have, how they're going to look. You didn't choose what school you went to, what nursery you went to, what college you went to, what university you went to. You didn't choose the people you want to work with, unless you're very rich and you can recruit them yourselves. But you didn't choose these people. Allah chose them for you. And some are black, some are white, some are Chinese. They're different people from different places with different religions, with different beliefs. What Allah really wanted to see is how you was going to look after His people. How you was going to be kind to His people. Yes, wherever you go, there will be some who you like and some who you don't get on with as well. But what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see is how will you treat my people? Will he follow in the footsteps of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That same Muhammad who used to walk down the road every day, and a woman would come out who was a non-believer. She was a Jewish woman, and she used to chuck dirt at Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every day she would come out, a habitual practice, and she would chuck dirt at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in her expression of hatred towards him. She would chuck dirt at his face, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would carry on every day. He wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't do anything to them. They say anything to her. And one day Hazur alayhi salam was walking, and he notices this Jewish woman wasn't there. After years of undermining the Prophet ﷺ, disrespecting the Prophet ﷺ, he noticed this Jewish woman wasn't there. And Rasulullah ﷺ became worried. And he went to her house, he knocked on the door, and then he was received inside to find that the elderly woman was very, very ill, and she was on her deathbed. To that point, Rasulullah ﷺ came in, he looked after her, he prepared for her food, he asked her if she was comfortable, he asked her did she need anything. And this woman was so amazed by the actions of Rasulullah ﷺ and the response of this man who she'd been torturing for years. She accepted the Shahada and said, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And she came into the fold of Islam. Why? Some Muslims are under this misconception that Islam is a bouquet of daggers. You're going to stab it, so you should read namaz, read Quran, why do you do that? No. There's no compulsion in Islam. Islam is a bouquet of roses. You go around and you let somebody smell it, and somebody experiences the scent and they love this and they go, can I smell another? This is how Islam should be. This is the culture of Islam. This idea of these terrorist activities and these terrorist people, I don't know where it came from. Islam or Muslims were harmonious for 1400 years. This thing's only come into the media recently. Just because we're born in this age and we didn't know about previous generations, it's our job to look into history. And I'd like to bring a hadith to your attention. One day, so important is it, the opinion of the people and what they think about you, it will actually shape out how you are faced by Allah when you pass away from this dunya. And one day there was a funeral procession going by. This is Sahih Hadith. A funeral procession going by. And Rasulullah seen the funeral procession and he said, Wajabat, Wajabat, Wajabat. And as the funeral procession was going by, there was people with it accompanying the procession. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala was observing this. The Sahabi radiallahu, he was observing this. And then a few days later, another funeral procession was going by. Again, Rasulullah said, Wajabat, Wajabat, Wajabat. It is wajib, it is must, it is compulsory. And Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, he says, Ma wajabat ya Rasulullah, what is wajib ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? What is necessary? Rasulullah said, the first funeral procession went by. In that funeral procession, the people who were accompanying it, they were saying good things about that person. They said he was a good person, he was a nice person, we'll miss this person, I remember he did this. They said good things about that person. And Rasulullah said, Wajabat lahul Jannah, for him, Jannah is wajib. It's necessary paradise for him because the people have good to say about him. This is before even Allah has spoken to him, before he's even come to justice about his good and bad deeds. Allah has even considered that. The Prophet ﷺ gives judgment. He says, wajib is Jannah for him. He must enter Jannah. And then he said the next funeral procession that you see going by, he goes, in that funeral procession, there were people around it, and people were saying bad things about the corpse. They were saying he was a bad person. He used to treat us like this. He used to say this. He used to go on like this. We didn't really. This is what he used to say. And Rasulullah said, he said, Man asnaytu bi sharri wajabat lahu nar. He said, because the people used to say bad about that person, Jahannam is wajib upon him. He must go to Jahannam because the people said bad about him. And subhanallah, there's a Sahih Hadith. There's a Sahih Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He goes, Ad-dua as-salahul mu'min. And the dua of a believer is a sword of another believer. So powerful we see it. Just the words of somebody, if they're good about somebody, it will take them to Jannah. If people thought he was a good person, they will take him to Jannah. And if those words were bad words, they will take this person to Jahannam. Such is the power and the consequence of these words. I'll present you a final hadith before I bring on our next speaker, inshallah Aziz. Hazur sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, after one passes away, because that person is the talk of the town, everybody remembers, oh, he was a good person, or he was a bad person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands his angels, go to the earth for 40 days. Before we begin to decide, go to the earth for 40 days and see what the people said about him. Or see what the people said about her. Not how many namaz he read, not how many Qur'ans he completed, not how many hajj he did. What the people said about him. Haqooqul ibad. His rights to the people. And the angels will descend for 40 days and they will collect all the sayings of the people, because everyone's going to be talking about this individual. And then when they return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either they will say, oh Allah, they said good about this person, then if they said good about this person, Allah will say, enter him to Jannah, make this wajib upon him. And if they said bad about this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, make Jahannam wajib upon this person. The people have said bad about this person. And I'm not degrading reading namaz and Quran. This is very, very helpful. It's very honored. I do not need to talk about the fazail of these things, they're great, but what I'm saying is I'm emphasizing on a different aspect as the rights of the people, how we should treat the people. Is lying, vanity, jealousy, hatred, this is all wrong. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect example, I'm just a struggler in the cause. I'm just a struggler in the cause. May Allah help us all in this cause. And what I'd like to bring to your attention, if the opinion of the people was so powerful as to they could render your fate Jannah or Jahannam, then imagine when the mu'min does dua for you. Imagine the power of his dua. In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ad-dua as-sala'ul mu'min. The dua of a believer is the sword to another believer. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all to make dua for each other, inshallah. Please make dua for me, for I am in much need of it.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illa